Hey, Ryan, thank you so much for joining our class and being willing to be our small business client for the term. I
Happy to
thought
do it.
we could yeah, um, thought we could go through some questions today and try and build some context about what you all do at Andco. Do you want to maybe like give like an introduction of yourself and your role with the company?
For sure. I am the director of Andco. I've been around with the company for the past 2 years and a bit. We've been open for about a year and a half now. And so we are a private membership based co-working space in Coal Harbor. We're spread out over 4 floors. And our intention is to be a hub for both working, the arts, culture, networking, and essentially building a lot of authentic and organic relationships within the space and within different industries, so that people can thrive and be more intentional about how they connect at work and in their personal lives.
That's really interesting. And so I mean, obviously, like in the kind of like co-working shared office space, like WeWork and Regis, and I guess there's some brand spaces now are probably like the names that come to mind. This is
Yes.
quite a bit of a different concept. Like it shares some notes, but quite a bit different, I
Well,
guess.
so the same notes in the sense that we offer like co-working. We've got sort of hot desking and dedicated desking, and then also private office space. So in terms of those things, I'd say yes, we are sort of comparable to those co-working spaces. I'd say that the biggest differentiator, our space is definitely more premium, but I'd say the biggest differentiator is that we're more than just a space. We are not like a WeWork or any of the other competitors who sort of just take empty spaces, throw desks in there, and hope for the best. I think that the biggest differentiator here is our programming, as well as our intention to the people that we want to bring in. We vet our members as well, so we're not a transitional or transactional space. Everything that we do here is meant to build long-lasting relationships and extend the networks of the people who want to be in our space and value what we're offering, and help those networks grow.
It makes sense. So do you want to talk about what like a typical client or like an ideal kind of new tenant or resident for the space is?
Yeah, so I'd say that our target members have been people who work in a lot of collaborative industries or industries that require a lot of either FaceTime or collaboration. I think that obviously the FaceTime work in terms of collaborating, as well as building a brand and corporate culture is super important. And so I'd say that yeah, collaborative industry. So it means people who work in tech, lots of startups, lots of project-based businesses, a lot of event and design businesses where you've got multiple people or multiple teams collaborating and wanting to come together, and see value in doing that face to face as opposed to doing it, via Teams or virtually.
I think that makes sense. And in terms of like more, I guess, tangible like characteristics of them, like how many people would a normal or a typical sort of tenant be?
Well, so because of the different levels of membership, we have, solopreneurs and single members who either run their own company or are, a founder for their own startup. And we also have venture capitalists or VCs in the space as well who work sort of in and of themselves and do that, all the way up to large multinational companies, say like Fujitsu Intelligence Technologies, as an example of a large multinational company that's in our space. They are a tech firm, and they work with AI and quantum computing. But they too actually are once again a very collaborative and project-based team. So the ability to have their teams come in, a couple times a month or like once a week to meet face to face is a really important feature that they stated they needed.
And so on that note, when you talk about like the frequency of being in the office or not, like what is your perspective on that? Like Are we at a low, like, are we at the lowest point we'll ever be of like in office kind of working and collaborating, and we'll just
I
be
don't
more,
know.
we'll
It's
return, or you think this is,
I think this is exactly one of the biggest questions that both market and industry are trying to figure out. And I think that it's a bit of a waiting game. People in the industry are hoping that the market will make some changes and affect that. And I think that the market is waiting for industry to try and figure things out. And so it's a bit of a waiting game. Um, my feeling on the return to work or the workplace is that I think that the Pandora's box has been opened, and I don't think that having people return to work 5 days a week or mandating that to a certain extent is going to be productive or beneficial to any of these companies. I personally think that hybrid is the future. I think that having a mix of FaceTime and in-person work, as well as combining that with efficient remote and virtual participation, is what is going to end up happening. I think that the days of expecting people to spend, you know, so much time in the office and committing them to crazy transportation and like long, like life sucking commute times is just not something anyone's willing to go back to.
yeah, and I guess obviously in your case, right, for the having such a special space, both just like architecturally and then with the activations, then it's something worthwhile to come to on the times you are coming into the office.
Well, it's the intent. I guess what we want is for people to be more intentional about how they come together and how they use the space. And so that's why the business model is that we're not just a co-working space. We have a bunch of different programming that helps address our member companies' employee value propositions. We try and find reasons to get them to come into the space. And then we do that by, once again, offering, food programs. So complimentary breakfasts and lunch included with membership. We've included wellness credits so that people are also, taking the time to work out and treat themselves and practice really good self-care. And we've created the space so that there's a lot of different vignettes and rooms to match various modalities of work. So whether people work best in group settings, whether they work, quietly and better on their own. We've tried to create different spaces to be able to cater to all of those different things.
You used a really interesting phrase in the middle there about like, I don't remember the exact wording, but something about like that your offering is actually, it is an extension of your tenant's brand to their employees, right? Of their employment value proposition. That's kind of an
Yeah.
interesting idea to unpack more. That's, you know, maybe the business you're in beyond just renting space, at the most superficial way of describing it.
Yes. Yeah, so it's a big part of sort of how we even justify our business model as well is gone are the days where you can just have premium office space and say, hey, this is the space, you need it, come on down. So a lot of what we've been trying to do is work with our member companies as well as a growing network of people who see value in what we're trying to do in the space to build out that kind of programming. And the reason why it's important is this whole work has changed in the last few years, and the pandemic was definitely a catalyst or accelerator of a lot of these changes. The ability for us to be able to say that, hey, we're able to take care of things like, DE&I training, as well as, doing some sort of financial programming, wellness programming, nutritional transparency, and all these types of things that, a conventional company would either have to invest in both salary wise, payroll wise, and programming wise to be able to offer. We're able to turn around and say, we have all these things. In addition to you, obviously, taking membership in our premium space, you're also able to participate in this programming, which then obviously hopefully our members and member companies see the value in both attracting new hires and new staff and retaining new hires, and essentially just the overall satisfaction
Yeah.
of their teams.
That's pretty neat though. Like that's kind of your outcome, right? Is you have happier and better employees
Yeah,
at your
yeah.
member companies.
Yeah, and happier employees are more productive employees, and more
Yeah,
productive employees are generally more profitable, work for more
yeah,
profitable companies, and
yeah,
and then everyone's engagement then
yeah.
obviously is increased and everyone's happy.
Cool. So I guess going back to like your own personal like objectives and mission with the business, like if you could wave a magic wand and um make Anco like in more of whatever you want it to be, what would that be, right? Like what
Well, I think that the biggest struggle right now is actually getting people to take membership. Um, and I don't know if that's necessarily a fault of our business model, or pricing or anything like that. I think it's a lot has to do with just the market and the fact that 9 out of 10 people this year are looking at cutting costs, and they're looking at ways to change where they spend their money and how they spend their money. And companies as a whole have gone to trying to figure out what they're going to be doing with their employees. And since 2020, I don't think there has been any company that has can say, well, we figured this out. This is what's going to work for us, and we've got a balance of hybrid work as well as a certain number of mandated days back in the office. And so, like I said, I think it's that balancing act of trying to figure out what market can dictate and how much of that we can actually change, and have that be some tangible change that we're actually
uh,
putting out there, as opposed to just constantly responding to like hits left and right, if you know what I mean. So
that
it's
makes
a hard line to walk, but yeah.
that makes sense. And you don't have to share the actual number, but I'm curious what the words are for the KPI. Like, do you think of like is it actually like percentage of total occupancy or something that you target or for the building?
Well, yeah. So I'd say that the goal, it's not a percentage. I think that the goal is actual full like occupancy of at
Occupancy.
least the private office spaces. I'd say
Yeah,
our biggest line item, like so top line revenue driver, I'd say 90% of it is going to be on leased office spaces.
yeah,
So that being said, we've got 24 private offices, of which I think we're at about 55%
yeah,
capacity. And so we've got a 45% vacancy rate. So obviously changing that vacancy rate to 100% is going to be the
yeah.
biggest goal. Um, yeah. So I'd say that's our biggest revenue generator is actual, office space
Uh,
occupancy.
yeah, and then the more like hot desking style, like open air stuff is more come and go and just as sort of part of the ambience, not
It's
as much the core.
yeah, it's more of the ambiance. It's more of what will drive, I guess, the natural and organic connections that we want to like bring to
Yeah,
the space. So, say for example, a larger member company like Fujitsu Intelligence Technologies, which works
yeah,
in quantum computing and AI, um, there might be these the one-off solopreneurs or founders
yeah,
or venture capitalists in the space who also work in tech and are looking for either opportunities or insight into some of the things they're working on. So being able to bring a lot of these different people together is a large part of the vetting process as well, and being intentional about who comes to the space. Yeah.
and how much does location or like proximity matter? Like, do the tenants tend to live closer to the space, or do they identify it on its merits and they're willing to move there? Like, are you constrained geographically in some ways by like
We
who you
are
can attract?
I would say we are constrained geographically slightly. I think traditionally, our Coal Harbor location would be considered like off core,
Yeah.
of the downtown core. Even though I'd say we're, 5 minutes, away from main transportation lines, and SkyTrain. I would say that it has been a bit of a hindrance, in terms of location wise, for people who are, say, coming from Richmond and Burnaby and Port Moody and all those places, where it's been a huge plus for us is for people who are, in Squamish or the North Shore or West Vancouver. So, you know, I don't know. Location is one of those things that, if it works for you, great, and if it doesn't work for you, then you gotta have to figure out other ways to
Yeah.
to make it work. And so, yeah.
That makes sense. So I guess just conscious of your time, what is there anything else you want to share with us? Like, is there like, what are the things that are, keeping you up at night in your business, or is there, other problems that you love
Yeah.
our help in thinking
So
about?
I would say that, the two biggest things, that keep me up at night is, we do a lot of really great work here. We affect a lot of tangible change, both, within our business community as well as in the larger community, and communicating, and coming up with a great marketing strategy where we are leveraging a lot of that good work without tokenizing it is something that we're still trying to figure out. Um, if you if that is clear enough, and then the other obviously big thing is, just, regarding engagement of, existing and, like prospective members to the space, and how do we get people to actually see value and want to participate? Should we be putting our money towards more, like targeted marketing initiatives? Does that look like events? Are we bringing in more, panelists and speakers to, spearhead marquee events that create more awareness and engagement for us? Yeah, where are we investing our time, energy, and money to best leverage those things is yeah, a big thing, and how to get people
And
to
just
show up.
once they sign up, then having them show up more.
Yeah.
Just a quick follow-up. What do you have a sense of what has been the most effective, like of the client, tenants members that you do have now, like where they came from, or how they came to know about you, or how you track them down? Do you know what's
Uh,
been the most effective channel?
I'd say that the most effective channel has been, through word of mouth and
Yeah,
through straight up referrals.
yeah,
I'd say that, someone trying to find us via like a Google search or a Google ad, or, anything like that, via even Instagram or LinkedIn is great. It's a good way for, people to know who we are and to get an awareness of our brand. Have any of those things actually, closed a deal or sold office space or done anything? Not directly. It's always been that word of mouth and the actual network connections, where we're actually able to bring people into the space and give them a taste of what it is they would be getting when they're here, and what those benefits are to them and their team, is what has really been, the most effective in closing deals, I'd say.
awesome. Um, that sounds great. I really appreciate this. I appreciate you joining us today and sharing all these thoughts, Ryan. I hope you're going to enjoy throughout the term, um, what we come up with in class. Hopefully we can help out a little bit.
No, that would be amazing. I'm really excited to get, a unique and, new perspective on what we're doing here. So I'm always open and eager to hear.
Thank you.